Hey everyone, Final here. Today, I'll be showing you my quick and easy paint scheme for the Red Corsairs Reave-Captain. For the subassemblies, I couldn't break it down as much as I wanted to. The main body needed to be assembled with the arms, legs, and the tactical rock. I don't usually like painting with the base and tactical rock assembled, but the problem was that half of the feet were on the tactical rock already. I tried dry fitting it, and there's a really huge gap on the left leg, between the foot and the rest of the leg. It would have looked really bad no matter how I did it. On the other hand, the arms had this fur thing that needed to be assembled to the rest of the body. That gap wasn't as bad as the feet, but since the arms were pretty wide out, I just glued them on anyways. With all that being said, I did manage to get some subassemblies out of this. Per usual, I kept the head off. I also kept the chest strap off. It had a bunch of accessories on it that blocked other details. And finally, I kept the power pack off as well. I'm just glad that the power pack didn't have anything integrated to the body. To get started painting, I primed everything with Chaos Black. Before I keep going, I need to pause really quick to make a note. The main colors on the Reave-Captain are red and black, but as far as I can tell, there isn't really any rhyme or reason to what gets colored what. I tried to alternate back and forth between the red and the black. If you want to save some time, it'd be good to plan ahead which panels you want black and which ones you want red. Otherwise, you can paint everything with the initial black color, and then fill in the red later. Anyway, back to the painting. The first color I'll be using is Corvus Black. I prefer Corvus Black over Abaddon Black because it's a little bit brighter. That might seem counterintuitive, but I like to be able to shade the black in order to increase the contrast between colors. I'll also be painting these on the helmet and the power pack as well. Once I'm done picking out which parts I want to paint black, I'll go in with Corn Red and fill in the remaining armored areas. And there we go. I'm keeping the helmet fully black, so there won't be any Corn Red on it. Next, I'll shade all of the Corn Red and Corvus Black with Nuln Oil, thinned 1:1 with Lamian Medium. Thinning down the Nuln Oil will dull down the shadows a little bit, but it'll also make cleanup a lot easier. I'm just making sure to pool the wash in the recesses. Once I've washed everything that I want shaded, I'll give the model about 30 minutes to dry. There's a couple spots on the model that are kind of shiny. I'll go in and do a heavy dry brush with the base colors to clean those up. Oh, but we're not done with the dry brushing yet. Now I'm going to do a very light dry brush on the edges of the Corvus Black using Dawnstone. I'm being careful not to make a mess of it, but if I do screw up somewhere, I'll just glaze on some of the base color to fix it. I'll be doing something similar on the edges of the Corn Red using Wazdaka Red. The next paint that I'll be using is Rhinox Hide. I'll be using it to paint the leather parts like the belt, pouches, and the holster. I'll also be painting up any areas that are going to be gold later. Gold paints are usually really thin, but the Rhinox Hide gives them a really good jumping point. With a Rhinox Hide base, you'll only need 1 to 2 coats of gold, instead of the 3 or 4 coats that you need if you're painting over black. Once all of the Rhinox Hide is on there, I'll wash all of the leather parts with Agrax Earthshade, but only the leather. Once the Agrax dries, I'll dry brush the leather with Gorthor Brown, just to give it some definition. Now I'll paint up that gold trim with Retributor Armor. I'll also paint the exhaust with gold as well. Once the gold is dry, I'll wash all of it with Reichland Flesh Shade. Once the wash is dry, I'll do a heavy dry brush on the vents and the exhaust with Retributor Armor. That'll bring back some of the shine. If you don't have a dry brush small enough for the trim, you can always use an old base brush to get a similar effect. Finally, for the gold, I'll lightly brush the edges with Liberator Gold, just to brighten them up. For the rest of the metallics, I'll be using 2 different gunmetal colors. For any trim, I'll be using Iron Warriors. I'll also paint this halo thing on the power pack with Iron Warriors. For the rest of the metal, I'll be using lead belcher. That'll go on the sword blade, the spikes, and other accessories. Once I'm done, I'll wash both the Iron Warriors and the lead belcher using Nuln Oil. Once the Nuln Oil dries, I'll be ready to dry brush. I'll be dry brushing with lead belcher, but doing it two different ways. For any parts that were base coated in lead belcher, I'll do a heavy dry brush to bring some of the shine back. For the trim, I'll do a very light dry brush on the edges, just to brighten them up. And finally, back to the lead belcher parts, I'll do a very light dry brush using Stormhost Silver, to brighten those edges up. Alright, metallics are done. I'm going to hop over to the helmet really quick to paint up that top knot. I'll be painting it with Mephiston Red. I think the box art uses Corn Red, but I wanted it to stand out a little bit. I'll then wash it with Berserker Bloodshade, and then dry brush it with Evil Sun Scarlet. Alright, back to the main body. I'll be painting up the fabric with Storm Vermin Fur, both on the back and the front. Oh, and also on the top knot. Once we have a smooth coat of Storm Vermin Fur, I'll wash it all with Nuln Oil, thinned once again with Lamian Medium. Mine didn't look very shiny after it dried, but if yours did, you can just do a heavy dry brush using Storm Vermin Fur to fix that. We'll finish it up with a light dry brush on the edges using Dawnstone. Now for the fur, I'll start off with our old friend Corvus Black. I'll then wash all of it with Black Templar. While I have the Black Templar out, I'll go ahead and use it to paint the joints. After the Black Templar dries, I'll dry brush the raised edges using Skaven Blight Dinge. Alright, we're almost done. For the skulls and the wrappings, I'll base coat them with Rakarth Flesh. I'll then wash the skulls with Agrax Earthshade, and then I'll wash the wrappings with Agrax Earthshade thinned 1:1 with Lamian Medium. Once the skulls are dry, I'll lightly dry brush them with Rakarth Flesh. And once again popping back to the helmet, I'll first paint the eyes using White Scar, and then coating them with Aethermatic Blue. And that's it! The helmet is done. The power pack is done. I ended up painting the Space Marine helmet using Macragge Blue, you know, in honor of March for Macragge. And the main body is done. I'll throw a little bit of paint on the base, assemble everything together, and the result is one Red Corsairs Reave-Captain. This was a really straightforward model to paint, and it was really a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to painting up the Red Corsair Raiders. Whether you got the Lords of the Maelstrom Battleforce, the Combat Patrol, or the individual releases, I hope this video helped you out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.